Hello everyone. Come on, Misty. Come on. How is everybody doing today? I'm back at my property. Haven't been here since last year. And before I start today's video, just want to say the COVID-19 thing. I don't want to make this a COVID-19 video, so I'm just going to make it quick. I hope you're doing okay. You know, I'm doing okay. My wife and I were doing all right. But some of you are not doing as good. And just hang in there. Gonna be some tough times, but that's okay. We're built for this kind of stuff, right? We're human. We can handle it. We'll get through it. And it's gonna be a bit of a test for us right now, right? It's all new to us. So yeah, today's video, join me. We're gonna go out. We're gonna scout the property. This is something I do every year. After a long winter, I like to come back and just do some quiet time and just come and see what the wildlife has been up to and ensure everything is okay and no trespassers and this kind of stuff. So today is a beautiful day. I opted to leave my driveway at home and come to my other driveway, which is this property over here. And we're gonna go set up some game cams, because I do that every year. And every year I catch some very, very nice wildlife footage. Hopefully this year will be no different. Every year I seem to have a new family of moose, cow and calf family in the area. Hopefully this happens again this year. So yeah, it's all these kinds of things. So follow me along. We'll just go for a leisurely walk. And we're not going to mention COVID-19. I want this to be more of an entertainment video. Just a kick back, relax, and breathe easy. And, you know, join me, have a bit of a downtime. And we'll deal with the rest later. All right? So let's go do it. Let's head down that way. We'll go see what we can find in these woods. Here's the first thing of interest that I'm walking through, and it reminded me, I brought you here to a very specific tree. There's a yellow birch behind me, and when I was walking through, I thought, oh, shit, I gotta go check on that tree. Why am I checking this particular tree? Well, if you see right there, that's a huge chunk of chaga. I'll move the camera closer after I talk. So on this tree, 3 years ago, I was walking through and I came across this chaga haul, and I pulled between 5 and 6 pounds of chaga off of this tree. And when I was walking through, I remembered that, and I said, you know what, I should go check, because I was curious to see what the growth rate was on the chaga. Because when I cut it off, actually I smashed it off with the backside of an axe. I never saw into it. I always break it off. And I left a good bit of it there, right? So the part that's right stuck to the tree, I never brought it down to the actual tree. And there was at least two, maybe 3 different locations on the tree that I harvested from. So let's go, I'll bring the camera closer. We'll go have a look. And I'm curious to see how long, because this was 3 years ago. We'll see what it looks like today. So this chaga was originally, I mean, there's my tomahawk. It'll give you an idea of how big it was on the tree. But it stuck out probably as much as 8 inches. It was absolutely huge. And there was another piece down there, and he grew, see, he grew pretty good. He's sticking out pretty good. There's actually a hole down in there. So judging by this, the growth rate is actually quite slow. And this is a huge tree. I mean, this is a pretty big yellow birch here. And I'm gonna continue monitoring him, because if the tree suddenly dies, then the chaga is no longer good. So I'm gonna keep an eye on him. I see a lot of dead limbs way up there. I'm guessing he's still alive and kicking, but he does have some big limbs that broke off. Now this chaga hull that I got out of this tree, I still have, well, probably at least 5 mason jars worth. So I'm not gonna harvest anything off of this tree today. It's no point. I still got lots of chaga. I probably got enough for another 1.5 years. I don't drink it on a daily basis, right? And I mostly drink it only in the winter. And yeah, maybe next winter I'll do a chaga video. That'd be nice, you know. I every year on YouTube there's some new chaga videos that come out, and this year there wasn't all that many. There is a few, and good ones too. Yeah, pretty good chaga videos on there. And yeah, not that much. So maybe next year we'll do a chaga video. See what that works out like. Okay, let's keep cruising. Right, Misty? Let's go do it. Yeah, let's go do it. So here's a little something that might interest some of you. I just caught Misty. She was sniffing around, right? She's a dog. She's a Labrador, so she's a sniffer. And I always pay attention to what my dogs are sniffing, because they know what's going on in the area. And suddenly she went from sniffing to putting her face down into the ground. And I know right away what's going on. There's a turd right there. There's a pile of scat. So right away I yelled at her and get away from that. And if you ever wonder why a dog, if you're one that goes out in the outdoors with your dogs and you come out and your dog stinks because it found something and it got into something in the woods and it rolled around, and why your dog rolls around in scat. And what happens there is dogs are man-made, right? But their roots come from wolves. All dogs come from wolves. And that's a primal instinct to roll around in crap or a dead carcass, a rotting carcass in the woods. It's natural instinct to roll around in that, because what it does is it masks their own personal smell so they can be a better hunter. So if you see your dog doing that, that's primal instinct in them to do that. And that's what that is. They're trying to hide their own scent so they can be a better hunter when they're out there in the woods. Just thought I'd share that with you. Right, Misty? You're still primal, eh? Yeah, you're a big baby, but you're still primal. Okay, let's keep walking. Okay, guys, see that broken tree right there? Well, some of you may remember last year I put out a video. It was called Widowmaker. And in that video, there was, at the end, near the end of the video, I believe, there was a tree that was broken and hanging into another tree, and I went to cut it down, and I talked about how I was too fearful of that tree. I didn't like the way it was hanging on, and I opted to walk away from that and just let winter take care of it. And here we are back at that tree right now, and sure enough, winter took care of it. There's still a little piece stuck in the crook of another tree up in there, but I'm not concerned about that. But the main thing is that the main piece of the tree is laying on the ground. So yeah, I'm glad winter took care of it, just like I was hoping it would do. So probably I'll be back sometime this year with the tractor, and I'll be cutting it all up for firewood and hauling it out of here and make good use of it. So yeah, that was a bit of a success there. So here we got some signs of wildlife. So we got ourselves some moose droppings. It's not overly fresh. What are you doing? Get out of the moose dropping. So it's not overly fresh, but it's nice to see because it's it just shows that there's wildlife in the area. Here in this area, the deer move out in the winter. This is not, they go out to the yards. The moose, I'm not sure what their pattern is in this area, but they stick around all summer long, and they're here in an early spring. Now these moose droppings, this would have been from an adult moose. It's whoops, quite large. It's frozen right now. It's very easy to tell when it's a moose dropping because it's a little bit chocolatey to the taste. Right, Misty? Yeah, right. And looks like we got some resident turkeys hanging around here. Yeah, you smell that, eh, Misty? Yeah, that's a turkey. It looks like our turkey had a friend with it. You just can't beat the snow to reveal what's going on in the woods. All wildlife, they can't get away from it. They will leave their tracks in the snow. Even at a time like this where the snow is almost completely melted and everything is like super rock hard and compacted because it's been melting and freezing over and melting and freezing over, it's still the wildlife. They can't avoid it. They will leave their tracks behind. Will you move? Move. You're always in the way. Property marker. Get out of the shot again, Misty. Nobody wants to look at your bum. Yeah, I'm gonna move over here. So I had a camera on this tree last year and I caught some excellent footage on down this trail. Actually, this trail is, I'm standing in the trail I was working on with the Kiati tractor. If you ever see that video, I think it's titled Kiati at Work, I believe I titled it. Anyways, I'm gonna put it back there this year because I caught everything on this trail last year. I caught deer, moose, coyote. I believe I caught turkeys. I caught all kinds of things right here. And one thing I noticed is whenever you have a clear path, you cut a trail, wildlife will use that trail. It's like they walk through the woods and they get to that trail and they're like kind of like people. They'll take the easiest path. And if they find a path, they will go walk down that path. So I'm going to set that camera up. Well, it's set up now. Just going to turn it on and I'm going to move on. Let's go set up the other one. So I have my second camera set up behind me. And for the game cam, for me and for many out there, it's a dual purpose thing. Not only does it give you a snapshot on the wildlife that's in your land or your hunting area or whatever it is you're doing out there in the woods, but in here, it's my property. There's my trailer right there, and it serves as a security measure. Granted, it doesn't alert me at home. My cameras are not equipped that way where it sends me an alert through my phone or something like that if it catches a motion or whatever. But it's still a properly positioned camera, can catch a license plate, could catch a physical description of an individual if somebody were to be messing around here that have no business being here. So this camera that I got the one out in the backwoods that I showed earlier, and this other one that I got, although it's right behind me, it captures, for some reason, the wildlife likes to travel down my driveway right in front of my trailer here. So I always have one here. It's great wildlife footage, and it also serves a purpose of if somebody's here, I can at least go to the police if I have to and say, look I got this footage, this has been tampered with, I got this person on camera. Sometimes, you know, it could be a repeat offender, and the authorities may even recognize the figure, right? So I'm gonna take the camera, I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna show you what I did with this camera. And you know what, I've seen people try to camouflage their camera, and that's all fine, but sometimes that can work against you. You got these moving branches in front of your lens will trigger a gazillion pictures that of nothingness. Sometimes a branch in front of a lens, the camera will throw a flash. It just throws a big glare into your camera. These things, for the most part, you know, I mean, they're not like professional grade kind of things, right? So they do have their flaws, but a properly positioned camera in the right color on the right tree can be quite camouflaged without having to surround it with other materials. And I've done this in the past myself, where I've taken other boughs from and tried to, you know, camouflage a camera, and I've had very little success at that. So I'll turn the camera around and I'm gonna walk towards the camera, and you try to pick out where my camera is. I'm gonna go straight to it and you look for it in those trees. Okay, I'm gonna walk straight towards the camera. You guys look for it. Right now, some of you might be seeing it. Yeah, there it is. There's my camera. Okay, so there's the camera. And it's quite well camouflaged. Right now, the foliage is nothing going on in the woods, right? Nothing's sprouted up. The leaves aren't out, so it's more exposed, but it'll blend more into its environment once you got a lot of greenery around it in the background and such. And the other thing too, when you're installing some of these cameras, a little whip like this, is a good example. So he's not budding yet, but once he buds and he's got leaves, he's gonna cover some of that lens. So just simple little clearing like that makes a world of difference. The other thing I noticed as well with a camera is there's a time delay from when an object moves in front of it from when it starts recording, whether you got it on video or taking a series of pictures. So you want to try to aim your camera down a straight line so that if something is coming down a path in front of the camera, it'll be in that path for a length of time, so you get a duration of pictures and not just an animal that walks across the front and it just clicks a picture and all you get is like a piece of its ass as it's going by. A straight line shot always, always, always. Another thing that I do with my camera, you see that stick right here? I always put a stick on the back side of the camera. It seems to me like every time I put a camera on a tree, the lens is pointing a little bit upward. And the stick on the back side just tilts it down. It seems to just give it that perfect angle. It adds to the blending, and also I find that it stabilizes the camera on the tree. It's not as rocky on the tree. Let me know if you're using cameras and what kind of tricks you use with your cameras. I'd like to hear from anybody that's got good experience with them and what you've been doing to improve your camera footage and your camera setup and how your success story with the cameras. I'd love to hear your end of it.